Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast, and I'm excited. We got Jon North here today from not from Oregon, but Oregon, if you're a local. So thanks for being here, man.
Hey, Nate Bailey, thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure being on with you, and yeah, Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. That's right. All right, so I'll tell a little story here. So been following you and your story for quite some time. I got into CrossFit back in 2000. I want to say it was 2011, 2012 for sure. And then shortly there, it didn't take long, and kind of CrossFit took a back seat, and Olympic weightlifting kind of became my life for a few years. Did some competing. I played college football. So, I was into kind of lifting heavy weight, but I had gotten out of it, right? I was, when I found CrossFit, it was a good thing for me. I was severely overweight, lost some weight fast. I was an athlete. So the competition piece of it, and then again, Olympic weightlifting, especially then, it really kind of blew up, and so did you. And I know how it's impacted and changed your life, but I found you online quickly. I started listening to your podcast, Weightlifting Talk. And so I don't know, through podcasts, sometimes you feel like you get to know the person, right? And you were always very willing to, and still are, telling your story and sharing your life, the ups, the downs, and everything in between along the way, which, helps people to get to know you and who you are, and it helps to inspire other people. So I've always appreciated you for that. And I've always loved, you're not afraid to put out your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, which is also very refreshing, especially nowadays, because a lot of people, people are quick to cancel people for the lightest little thing nowadays. And so for someone to still just totally fully own who they are is awesome. So with that, thank you for coming on. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Hey, Coach Nate, I appreciate it. And I look forward to speaking with you and talking. And man, you got in CrossFit boom days, baby. That's when
it was boom days.
It just went kind of from more of an underground fort community. Nobody really knew about it. This kind of fight club, if you will.
Yeah.
CrossFit, fight club, just real gritty. I love that. And then boom, just 2010 hit, Reebok got in, weightlifting exploded, Cal Strength videos came out. It was just, I think everybody got kind of punched in the face, like, whoa, this is growing.
Right.
So, I mean, you don't get to talk to a lot of people from that time when they entered the sport, or were in the sport of CrossFit or weightlifting back in 2010 and 11 when the boom really happened. A lot of people I talk to nowadays, got into weightlifting or CrossFit 2014, 15, 16 or beyond. And I'm always like, man, you should have seen how wild it got in 2010. Right. And the differences between pre-boom and post-boom are just night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I can qualify myself as an athlete, but I did a little competing, and I came in late age-wise, right? It was like late 30s. I'm about to be 45 here, but so I was a masters only Olympic weightlifter, right? And went and did Pan Am in Canada actually too, and that was kind of fun, totally on my own. But
oh heck yeah,
I really did just love watching, like consumed all the Cal Strength stuff.
Oh cool, heck yeah.
Just watched you guys along the way, because I don't know, I guess I have an addictive personality, right, where you get into something and it's just kind of consumed me. So that's where I was at. And I've now, believe it or not, like I run 100 miles and do that type of stuff. So quite the drastic change and shift for me, but it was fun. It was definitely fun.
So you're a hardcore distance runner. I mean, you're not just doing marathons, you're doing the 100 mile.
Yeah.
Long runs. Wow.
I got 135 coming up next week in Alaska. So.
Wow. So you're doing 135 altogether. No rest.
Yeah. It's 48 hours that you have to complete, and you can take breaks and rests in between, but I'm not that fast. So I can't be taking too many breaks, but yeah, for the most part, straight through.
That's crazy. All through Alaska, huh? So are you wearing, I mean, it's freezing. I mean, that's cold.
Well, it's like, I think it'll get down to maybe 30, 40 at night, 60s, 70s during the day.
So you're running through the night too, day and night.
Yeah, absolutely.
What, 3 days, 4 days,
2 days, 2 days.
2 days? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's impressive, man. That's badass.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
it's in a, you know, it's, maybe we could talk about it. Like I'm sure whatever it is that I get out of it is very similar to what you get from the sport of weightlifting, and why you continue to do it. Right? You just, it's not easy, that's for sure. It beats up on your body, but the journey, the people you meet, the experiences I've had, like the places I've gotten to go, very similar to probably the experiences and people you've met along that way. The meets you get to experience. You know, it's just, it really is all about the journey. The competition is fun, right? You get to go get on the stage and show what you've got and the work that you put in, and you know how you stack up to everybody else. But then it's like, it's not over there, right? It just keeps going. You just recalibrate and you figure out where you're at and what can I do to keep getting a little bit better, right?
Yeah, I assume that you didn't start doing 130-mile runs. I mean, it probably
No,
started
not
like
really.
with a 5K and 10K.
Although I did kind of
No.
just jump into it, to be honest. But
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, no, I mean, it started with a couple miles for sure.
so you started with 100 miles.
Well, no, I mean, so I was coming, I did an Ironman back in 2008, and I really just like gutted it through that, right? I just, not a lot of, I didn't properly train for that. And then, you know, I hadn't done anything as far as running goes, endurance goes, until really deciding to take this on. I'd been running 3, 4, 5 miles here or there, but I was like, man, you know, it's kind of the Goggins thing was coming into play. I'd read about 100 milers probably 5, 10 years before that. So it was always in the back of my mind that maybe that'd be interesting, and just got the hair to sign up and see if I could do it.
So you finished an Ironman.
I did. Yeah.
Full Ironman. Wow. That's badass. That's awesome. Well, you seem like you're an extreme guy, you know,
Yeah.
maybe why we have a connection, just because
Right.
I'm extreme, you're extreme. We go all in.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna run 100 miles, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, oh, let's skip the half Ironman and do the full Ironman.
Yeah, exactly.
No time for the, what is it, the 750, what's it called, 720? What's the half Ironman called?
Yeah, what was it, like 75 or something like that?
Yeah,
Something like
no
that.
time for that.
72, somewhere in there.
We'll do the full Ironman.
Yeah, it was funny. Because that's basically what I did for that too, right? I came home from deployment. The guy I knew did one while we were gone, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. So I signed up for one when I got home, and I literally did a sprint, and then that was it before the Ironman. I did one sprint. I was like the last person out of the water. This 80-year-old lady, like literally, as I'm trying to get out of the water, walks past me. Right? Like I couldn't do anything but laugh. I'm like, man, I'm so. A
lot of the older athletes in Ironman are crazy.
Oh, they're
engines that just, they train hard. They can go forever. They got grit. They got heart. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think even like the top 5 placements for the Ironman every year, they're 30s, 40s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
50s even, maybe. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's, you know, especially when it comes to that, right? That endurance, I think that 40s is kind of prime for a lot of the elite athletes, depending on.
Well, you got to embrace the suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's the same thing for weightlifting. You know, when you're running that long or you're doing an Ironman, it's like, you know, you got to be drawn to that. You know, you got to be okay with that suck, getting into that dark world of pain. You know, people get off on it sexually. I mean, think about it. You know, it's
definitely,
you know, in a weird way, there's some people that just get off on pain.
Right.
You know, maybe that's what we do, is we get off on pain.
Yeah, there is something too, because it's a very I don't know, maybe you could talk about this a little bit too, but when I train, I don't like to train with other people too much. When I lifted, I would lift with other people, but at the same time, it was a lot of just like kind of me with myself and in my head and what was in front of me. And it's the same thing when I'm out on the road, just like miles and miles to go. I kind of enjoy that. And there's some battles that are fought out there in your head, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. And I don't know, it kind of makes me feel alive, I guess you'd say, you know? So
Yeah, I'm doing that more often as I get older. I struggled being by myself when I was younger.
yeah,
Just always had to be around people
yeah,
constantly. And as I get older and I mature and I kind of get to know myself better,
yeah,
you know, kind of get to know the skeletons on in my closet a little better, you know, and
yeah,
build a relationship with them. And you know, you accept things as you get older.
yeah,
You accept, you grow, you carry on, you build. You could admit when you're wrong. You know, you can be a little more honest with yourself
yeah, yeah,
as you get older. When you're younger, you don't.
yeah.
You know, you're never to blame.
Yeah.
You got the ego.
Yeah.
But I find myself, I go on walks, I go on some light jogs, I train alone more in my garage. I have a garage gym here at the house, and find myself just more comfortable with being by myself more often these days.
Yeah.
And hanging out with Jon
Yeah.
is a little easier than it was back in the day. So I relate to you with that for sure, but it's taken me a while for sure.
Why is that?
You know,
Why was
trying to
that?
eat you up. What's that?
Why was that?
I just think insecurity, you know, fear, you know, just not believing in yourself, not believing in myself. You know, that's why I've always had great coaches that believed in me. You know, I wouldn't be here without the coaches I've had because they believed in me way more than I believed in myself.
Wasn't that interesting? Because, you know, I remember again, right? I don't know. Gosh, hopefully this is like some sound like some stalker fan of yours, but you know, just watching all those videos because I was so enthralled with weightlifting and seeing the personalities. You don't get to know the person. You just kind of see what you see and what maybe you put out there in front of yourself. But you know, when you're younger, it was like you say, you were excited. You were maybe brash is the right word, but also just like you could tell you definitely loved what you were doing. But to hear that maybe there was insecurities and fears inside of that too, right? Which it's not surprising because we all do that, right? We have this person that's inside of us, and then we've got who we put out to the world.
Yeah.
They don't always line up, and I think that's maybe a part of life is trying to get those two to line up. Some people seem to be able to do it. I'm still working towards that, I think myself, but yeah, what you know, that's why I say is maybe a little bit surprised. But it isn't surprising to hear. But what was what has been some of the points around your life that have really helped you to make a transition?
Yeah. Well, I think going back to just the coaches I've had, I've been blessed by great coaches, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, and great people in my life supporting me, just being insecure and being fearful and not believing in myself. And, you know, I think that's why I created this character that, you know, slamming bars and, you know, throwing chalk buckets and, you know, screaming shankle and kind of just getting wild, just becoming this iron monster.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of create that to mask the, you know, the pain from my past, mask the insecurity, mask the fear of failing. You know, back then I wanted it so bad to be a champion weightlifter. And I knew that this is something that I wanted to do with my life. And I knew that this is where I belonged, but I've never belonged with anything before this. So I was always worried that I was going to get kicked out or I was, you know, going to fail and I was not going to succeed. And I was, yeah. I got to run down and help my daughter. Just give me 2 seconds.
Of course. No worries.
I don't know if we could just pause this 1 second.
Yeah, I got it.
Back up.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, I had to go help my daughter there and downstairs. But so I think just over time as I grew, I started to just, you know, get more confident with who I am as a person. And it takes time. It takes time. You know, you have to find yourself as a weightlifter, but you also have to find yourself as a person.
Yeah.
And it takes time. And so I said, okay, all right, this is who I am. Writing helped me a lot. I did a lot of writing.
Yeah. You got a big ass book, by the way. I think it's huge.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got it somewhere.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's,
The writing helped me, man. Just getting to know myself. It takes time. It's hard. You know, young kid. I mean, I was 21 at the time. And when all this was happening in the cow strength boom days, 21, 22. And I was still finding myself. At the same time, I had these YouTube videos going out, competitions, a lot of like, you know, kind of publicity, if you will, on me. Seminars. I was traveling across the world with Penlay, and it was just wild.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm trying to find myself and try to also do, you know, do well in these competitions. So I just needed that, like that calm time, kind of like what we talked about with going on walks and runs and training in the garage, where I just write by myself. And the writing just helped me kind of just get to know my past, get to know my skeletons, you know, accept my past, build upon myself, just work on myself and get to know myself. And over time, I just, you know, just feel more calm, you know, now, and it's more collect.
Yeah.
I don't need to trick my mind or body to be something that I'm not in a way.
Yeah. So what was that like? So I know, because part of your story, right? You're living in the car for a while, and then it seems like fairly short after that is where you head into this time, what you just talked about, the YouTube videos, the popularity, the traveling, all happens pretty fast, especially for a young guy. I know I wouldn't have handled it very well.
Oh, I didn't handle it at all.
And then to where you're kind of, you know, going through the boom, which had to be crazy, especially for someone like yourself that's kind of positioned to be someone that really that people begin to follow, and then the seminars and that business. And how have things, you know, because it seems like I've been out of the Olympic weightlifting world for a while. CrossFit, you know, back in 2010, 11, 12 was kind of that tipping point, I think. Still obviously here and going to be here for a long time, but how have you transitioned, and how is life now? Does it feel like it's more settled?
Oh yeah.
You know, I know you went into bodybuilding for a little bit.
Yeah.
You even tinkered with Ironmans a little bit, right?
Well, that's a big stretch.
Okay.
Trained Ironman for about a month.
Okay. So you, I mean, in between there, right? You maybe, you know, we're on this journey to figure out where you're at, and now you're back to what probably has always been your home, which is weightlifting. So
yeah, I struggled my whole life, really, till about 2016, when I died at the zoo. I had a cardiac arrest. I dropped dead for 16 minutes and came back to life by the medics of the zoo. They saved my life. And up to that point, even from like childhood to that point, I was always lost. I did not handle the boom days well. I was drinking in and out, pain pills in and out, multiple kind of interventions, if you will. You know, it was tough times with me and my girlfriend, who's now my wife. A lot of the traveling, I was just not doing smart things, missing flights. Just, you know, I kind of lost my mind a few times in Ireland. I had to go see somebody, had to see a therapist. So I went through a lot. You know, growing up, I was addicted to crystal meth. I had a meth problem. I started drinking, smoking pot when I was probably 10, 11. You know, in and out of jail with assault charges, et cetera. I mean, I can go on. I mean, I had a good childhood. I'm probably painting a little bit darker picture than it is. I mean, there's been a lot of great things in my life that I can talk about for days. But I was always lost. I was always just a lost soul, it seemed like. I had this in me, though, I had this lion inside of me. And you could see it in the videos. You know? And it was just living inside of me, just roaring. And when I found weightlifting, it was just game over. It was game over. Like, I just took that bar and I was like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And I'm going to show the world. I'm going to show my teachers. I'm going to show all the doubters and the counselors just, you know, smashing my throat with Ritalin pills till I was a zombie. I'm going to show everybody, you know, that I could actually be somebody, you know. So I used to live with a lot of hate, a lot of anger, that then turned to cockiness that just overcame me, which it's hard to regret my life, especially early on in my weightlifting career, when I achieved my biggest achievements, because that's what achieved my biggest achievements.
Yeah, right.
It's the chip on the shoulder. It's the trying to prove people wrong. It's the being angry, being lost, trying to find myself through the barbell, taking my frustrations and my mental, you know, my mental struggle out on the bar was my only place where I could just go, just let loose and express myself. That and the keyboard, which were one and the same. And so I just had that battle with myself till 2016. And then I just, I dropped at the zoo, and it only got worse because the more money I made, the worse it got.
Yeah.
The more traveling I did, the worse it got. The more meets that I won, the more teams that I've made, the more success I had in weightlifting, the worse than it got. I mean, it got really bad. Even after I married my wife, like, there's a time where we almost got a divorce, and, I started drinking again, and just the money, I started buying things. It became very materialistic. And I don't know. I owned this big gym in Charlotte, and I kind of ran people out just because I was kind of just so crazy on athletes succeeding and hitting numbers. And I was almost kind of just this mad scientist that was overworking my athletes, and they eventually just broke and left. Yeah. I sold the gym and left. So I was kind of a madman. So to kind of wrap it up, I got into bodybuilding. I had beef with USAW. We butted heads. I left. I made an own federation. I ran meets in Vegas all across the country. It was
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the federation was crazy. But I tell you right now, man, I just always had a missing piece in my life. And, it was God. So when I died at the zoo, I came back to life. Actually, I became a Christian. I got saved 2 weeks before I died at the zoo.
Really?
I became a Christian, got saved. 2 weeks later, dropped at the zoo, woke up, my entire life changed. About 2 months later, got baptized, and then everything changed. Got back with USAW, started lifting again. Just really went back to my roots. I'm like, okay, I'm a weightlifter. I belong in USAW. I'm no longer doing bodybuilding. I'm going to leave this federation, which was succeeding. It was hard to leave it, but it was hard on the family. I had a son. Eventually, then, of course, we have my daughter, Liv. I'm like, I'm a family man. I want to settle down. And then I just looked at everything differently. I'm like, every day is a blessing. Every little thing matters. Every day is such a blessing. I'm just glad to be here. I want to take advantage of every single day. And that's what I do now. I'm calm. I'm at peace. I'm content. I love life. Every day is a blessing. I know it sounds corny, but it's true. I mean, when God entered my life, my entire life changed 110%. I live for him, and that's how I go about every single day. And it's brought peace to my soul. It really has, it's brought peace to my soul. So that would be my long answer. I don't mean to ramble, but the big word there too is content. In the iron world, we like to say, don't be content, go for more. I'm not saying sit on your couch and eat potato chips. Right. Go for your dreams. Do the 130-mile run. Go for it. PR, attack. I get it. But also, you can be hungry. You can be a hustler. You can have goals. But also at the same time, you can be content with you and your life. And I think that more people need to be content. I'm okay. I don't want to make an extra dollar. I don't want to make anything. I'm fine the way I am. Strip it all naked. Are you going to still be happy? If you say yes, you're in a good place. If you say no, you need to work on that. And so that's kind of my mind switch from the last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you become a Christian two weeks before you die for 16 minutes at the zoo. Yeah. Was there any part of you coming out of that, coming back to life and being like, man, God, what's going on here? Like I accepted you in my life 2 weeks ago, and now this, was there questioning there, or were you just extremely thankful that, man, you made it out of that? And what was that like?
What a great question. I wrote a blog, and I haven't written for so long at this point. My book's been published. I just haven't written in. It's hard to write when you don't have a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And you're not in it. It's hard to write. Right now, I just can't write.
Yeah.
I'm too content. I'm too happy.
Right.
I can't get in that dark mode anymore.
Yeah.
I'm writing about happy things now. People are like, what is this, John? This is too happy.
Yeah. Give me the skeletons. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not dark, John. We're more Alice in Wonderland here. So I struggle with writing. I try to write sometimes. I just can't get into that dark place like I used to be in. I guess it's a good thing. But I did write. I was in the ICU for a month. I picked up my computer and I wrote. And the title of the blog was God Killed Me to Save Me. And so the way I view it is God just, he came behind me and just clicked like a mafioso, just dropped me from behind. Sopranos. Sorry to ruin the ending. So, I look at it as God dropped me on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I viewed it as God just kind of like, an angel, death angel, guardian angel.
Yeah.
He got the hit and was like, all right, we need to drop North.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did, because at the time I had a lost soul. I got saved 2 weeks before, but I was doing a few things in life that were really bad.
Yeah.
I'll just be blunt with you.
Yeah.
I won't say what they are, but they were really bad. They were not good.
Right.
And I was going down a very scary path in life that I thought was good in what I was doing back in 2015, 16.
Yeah.
This time period. And I was fully committed on this path I was down. Anybody listening right now that follows me probably knows what I'm talking about. And God was like, no, we are not going to go down that path. You need to turn around. And I think that was one of his ways of dropping me. I saw a gold angel when I was dead, and I came back to life, and I was like, okay, I am going to completely stop going down this path, turn around and go another way. And 5 years later, 6 years later, I'm talking to you now. So I'm to answer your question, I'm grateful that it happened. The best thing that ever happened to me, besides getting saved, besides marrying my wife, and besides having my children, was dying. I mean, dying at the zoo was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Did you was there a conversation or with this?
Yeah, it was a heated conversation,
really?
But I don't remember what was talked about. I can't remember what was talked about. I don't remember the words, but I remember it being a pretty intense conversation with this gold angel in the dark, very vividly. I knew I was dead. I completely knew I was dead.
Yeah.
I could tell you every detail of it. I was like, wow, I'm dead right now.
Wow.
I'm talking to this angel. So I don't know if I was pleading to get back or if I was getting a stern talking to. If I had to gamble, I would say I was getting a pretty stern talking to.
Yeah. 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 Well, that brings up something, because, I see a lot of people that they go through life and things are not good. Things are not what they want, but it's not bad enough for them. Like, it's kind of like they need that rock bottom. And I keep telling people, man, like, don't wait for rock bottom. Like determine that today is your rock bottom and make that switch. But
yeah,
a lot of people can't. They got to wait for the zoo incident where they're dead for 16 minutes to be like, all right, God, I get it. Like, hey,
yeah,
okay, I hear you. Like, it's time. Was that it? What would you say to somebody that maybe is, instead of waiting for that rock bottom to hit, to just declare it for themselves right now, and like how to get them to make that move, to make that decision to change their life, whatever it might be that they're dealing with or struggling with?
Yeah. I have two answers. The first answer is just, believe in God, believe in Jesus, and get saved, and put everything at his feet. Just lay everything down. Drop your sword. I tell people this, and I know there's people listening that don't believe in God or not Christians, and but I'll still say it. Drop your sword. Stop trying to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Stop it, because you're just going to continue falling on your face. Flesh is weak. Trust me, I know all about that. And so that'd be my first answer. My second answer would be, and it all ties into the first, but it's appreciate the small things. What matters in your life? Like, sit down with a pen and pad and write down like what matters in your life and focus on that. What do I have in my life that's amazing? Figure out what you have in your life that's amazing and focus on that. Don't always try to be getting more. It's a never ending story. You're chasing your tail. The more money I made, the more fame I got, the more travel I did, the more gold medals I won, the more attention I got, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All I wanted was more. I just kept chasing my tail. I want more. I never sat back and was like, wow, hey, sweetie, what we have is amazing. We didn't even get to take a deep breath. It was always on to the next. Looking back at my wife, but of all the money we made back then, and I'll be blunt with you, we made a lot.
Yeah.
We never took one vacation. We never took 1 week, which is me and my wife, and just went somewhere to relax together. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Out of roughly 5-6 years of being an entrepreneur, making I mean, really just insane amount of money.
Yeah.
We never took a vacation just to be with each other because it was constant, 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 constant. All we wanted was more and more and more. And looking back now, what the heck were we thinking? We couldn't take 1 week just to be with each other and do a little time out because we didn't appreciate what we had in front of us.
Yeah.
All we wanted was more. So anybody listening right now, sit down. What do I have in my life? Man, what a blessing. Everything good in my life is a blessing because everybody has something good in their life. And you got to be grateful for that. Stop always wanting more. Be content. Yes, have goals, have dreams, hustle, wake up, make money, support your family, etc. Don't get me wrong, but also be content with what you have and love what you have. It's a blessing. I'm telling you, that mindset will completely change your life. And there's a lot of people out there that will just keep your eye on the prize, and you're just going to miss what's in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love it. Great answer. So what is it for you? What's next for you? What's this next chapter?
Man, that's a good point. Well, a few things is, with me, I'm really, really every single day I live for God, and I read the Bible on my podcast. We still do weightlifting talk every day where we talk weightlifting. I got a movie podcast on Friday with Dean Sidoris. I got like little segments on my show.
Awesome.
And then Wednesdays we do a Masters with Attitude where we talk all things Masters weightlifting. But every morning, me and Brian Knights read the Bible, going all the way through, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, book by book. It's going to take us about 2 years. We're halfway through Exodus, so here we go. So it's quite the journey. So that's huge for me. It's huge. Just reading, studying, pulling the layers back. I love that. Besides that, just raising my 2 kids. We want a third. Just family. Just love my family, man. Like that's priority to me. Yeah. And I think do you have kids?
Yeah, I have 3. Yeah.
I think a lot of people they have kids and you blink and they're old. You blink and they're grown up. You blink and you're like, wow, I work too much.
Seriously.
Like I'm missing out. Like I'm not appreciating these small things. Like I need to there's a song, Jacob Banks is an artist and it's called Slow Up. Type in Jacob Banks, Slow Up. Great. I cry every time I listen to it. He's just like, he's talking to his kids to slow up, slow down. Like sometimes I want to take my family and try to like run away from time.
Right.
And try to hide from time where time can't get us and we can all just gather together and live forever, ever together.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. If you can go to Costco and buy time, would you? If you could buy time for $50,000, would you? Well, you actually could. You could take a pay decrease and actually essentially buy time with your family, but nobody's doing that because they want more, which brings me back to my content, type philosophy. And then really my third answer on a professional level is just coaching, man. I'm all about it. I got a great weightlifting team. I won't be pluggish here, but I'm proud of them, Attitude Barbell Club. And I love my team to death, man. Like to death. I mean, they're family, completely family. I love every single one of them. I do. And
how many athletes
it's a different model than Team Do. What's that?
I said, how many athletes are you working with right now currently?
We got 76 athletes.
Awesome.
Yeah. 76 athletes. Got a great team Facebook page. We're at the comps. We just, we do Google Hangout training. We have a men's group we do twice a week. Facebook is just constantly moving. People are coming. Athletes are coming to stay at my place and train.
That's cool.
I make it a very big point to be at every competition, traveling, investing, yes, being away from the family, but I'm going to be at these meets. Like I want to be a weightlifting coach. I am a weightlifting coach. And I think you need to be at these competitions. We're an online team. I mean, I only have 2 athletes locally. The rest are across the country and some even over the pond. And I'm like, how can I make an online team? And this goes for anybody that wants an online business. I mean, I don't look at it as a business, but anybody listening here that's more in the business world, my advice is how do you make an online community an in-person community? How can you make it as tight as possible?
Right.
And I can make the argument we're tighter than a team that's under one roof. Connection is my biggest thing.
That's incredible leadership right there. I mean, just recognize, I mean, as no-brainer as that might sound, that it's all about the people. There's a lot of leaders out there that take the people for granted, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did back in the Team Do days. Yeah. Back in, I mean, that might be a harsh statement, taking him for granted. That might be, I might be being too harsh on myself by saying that. That might be extreme.
Sure.
But it was definitely more towards that. I was the coach. I was, you know, I was giving him the program. I was traveling the world doing seminars. I was running the AWF. I didn't know half my athletes. I didn't know their names. Here's the program. I got on the Facebook page a few times a week. Keep your elbows up, squat lower.
Yeah. Yeah.
No connection.
Yeah.
I didn't know if anybody was competing that weekend. I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, if an athlete said on Team Do, my old weightlifting team, hey, I want to come to your house and train. No.
No.
You know?
That's a hard no.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Take your time answering that question, coach. No.
Yeah. Like, I'm too busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I look at it completely different. Back then, it was almost like, you're my athlete. These days, I look at it as I'm your coach. I'm here for you. I work for you. You call, I answer. You want to come here? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need extra attention. You need to talk on the phone. You're going through hard times, whatever it may be. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Where I think back in the day it was, no, you know, you're here for me. Or, you know, it's just a different philosophy. It's completely, everything has switched in my life from pre-16 to post-16.
Yeah.
Man, now I'll do whatever I can to just make sure that my athletes are taken care of. And it was just different back then. It was more about the money. You know, there wasn't as much connection in the quote unquote business model, if you will. And it was all about how much money can I make?
Sure.
Just, I'll be honest with you. And it was just money and power.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part. Where nowadays it's not even about that. It's not even about that at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know, it's evolution of life, and hopefully we all don't, but hopefully we all make that evolution and change and for the better. And obviously God being a big part of that for you, of course, there's no surprise where you're at today and why that is for you today.
Well, and also it's just, all there was just, it was high turnover. I wasn't sharing my heart. I wasn't there for the athletes. It was ups and downs with financial. Again, it was just nothing but roadblocks. Where nowadays, if you're authentic and you truly care and you truly have the heart and you're really there for people and you're content, you're there for the athletes over the income that supports your family. Guess what? It's actually all going to come together in a better way as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's what I've figured out as a whole. I've never been just better off in my life than I have the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And it's a completely different mind switch. The second you're chasing income is the second you're not going to make anything.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. Are you still competing? Will you always compete?
Yeah, I competed. What was it? Six times in 2019.
Okay.
Didn't compete in 2020. I did a meet a few months ago. Did well in that, but that's about it. Yeah, I'm not really competing right now. Yeah. Going to nationals next weekend. I got to go to Texas this weekend for a meet to coach an athlete, do a seminar. Okay. You know, just Pan Am's in Florida, AO2 in New Mexico, Detroit in December, or Denver in December for AO finals. So there's just a lot of comps, a lot of athletes. So I find myself,
all as a coach. Yeah.
I find myself, it's tough to train.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is, especially at the high level that I know I can train at. You know, it's pretty tough. So my main focus is just the coaching.
Yeah. Are you good with that? You have peace with that?
I am at peace. I am at peace. It's been a struggle. It's been odd just because my whole life has been, you know, for most of my life has been weightlifting as an athlete. But, you know, something clicked to me where I was on the phone with a few athletes the last really just few months, and they were in tears with me about their competitions and how they did and qualifying for meets and how bad they want it. And I'm just like, man, this is what it's about. Like, I want to get these athletes to their goals. Like, I'm truly passionate about it. Like, I want to be the wind at their back. Because I look at my career, the people we talked about this in the beginning of the show, Bailey, is that, you know, I had amazing people in my corner. I had great coaches, great support group that pushed me to win championships. I would have completely failed if I was on my own. Yeah. I would have quit, failed. I'd be dead or in prison right now. 110%.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. So I give all credit to the people in my life. I give all credit to God. I did nothing. I might have just went through the motions and trained hard and did what coach told me to do. But I want to be that for the athletes now. Like I want to be Coach Penlay for Coach Penlay that was behind me and push my athletes. And I'm like, man, I've done it. I hate to say it, but I've already done it. I've been to the
Right.
top. I've won the medals. I've made the teams. I broke the records. I know that kind of sounds cocky right now, but why am I trying to do this over again?
Yeah.
When I have athletes on the phone with me in tears because they qualified for AO1.
Yeah.
Like that's how happy they are. They qualified for AO1, let alone when they qualify for AO finals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, are you good on time or?
I got about 5-10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. I want to make sure I respect your time here. So, let me ask this here to close it out then. I know we've already potentially talked about some of these moments for you, but this is a favorite question I like to ask. I think there's probably, especially the times we're in, we've been through a tough year and a half, right? And it does feel like we're coming out of it here finally. But, if you could go back to a moment, kind of that crossroads moment, maybe that fork in the road, turning point in your life. I think we all have many of these, but if there's one or two that kind of sticks out where it's like, man, you're trying to decide if you're going to go left or right. A lot of times you got people pulling you one way, but just deep inside, there's that the right maybe that you want to go, but you're just unsure. And a lot of people find themselves in that position. A lot of people lack the courage or the support to make the decision that they might know that's best for them. But, obviously you made the decision you did, which has you where you are today. Is there a moment that you could share to possibly help somebody that's trying to navigate that moment for themselves right now?
Just in life, just to better themselves.
Yeah. Just a major, potentially a major crossroads point to really change its trajectory of their life. Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have two answers and I got to say, because I don't got to say, but I want to say is definitely, being saved and believing in Jesus, and becoming a Christian and just laying my life down at his feet, fully taking over, living for him.
What was that decision like for you?
That's the answer.
Was it a tough decision? Was it
no? So I've been to all these different churches, and I didn't believe in God, but I didn't not believe in God my whole life. Yeah. I'd say I more believed in God.
You relate to that. Yeah.
But, prayed kind of at holidays with the family, just didn't grow up in a religious family.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody was like an atheist, of course.
Yeah.
It was just not really something in our life.
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions, and they weren't bad questions. They were just questions of true interest throughout my life. Not like gotcha questions. You see like that.
Right.
And a lot of different churches. And it wasn't until I got to Portland when somebody invited me to Athey Creek, go to atheycreek.com. And I'm like, all right, we go to another church. And I just, churches, I don't know, just religion. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. Don't like it. And I'm like, all right, here we go. I go to this church, beautiful church in Westland, Oregon, right, kind of by Portland. And Pastor Brett gets up there, this beautiful big church, and some khaki shorts and a shirt. So opens the Bible and says, all right, here we go. Let's continue. I'm like, what are we doing here? And he reads the Bible from the first word all the way to the last word. He goes all the way through from cover to cover. Takes him about 17 years. Doesn't skip one word, all the way through in order. Reads, talks. I mean, he bounces around, goes to the new here and there to make points and stuff, but goes straight through order, just dives into the history, the meaning of words. I mean, it's more of like a college class.
Yeah.
Like you're studying on a daily basis. And I really found that intriguing because I like just being in the word, learning. And that was amazing for me. I'm like, whoa, this is something different. This is way different than, because being on Team USA, we traveled all over the place, lived a million different places, been to a million different churches. And so I wasn't really feeling a lot of the religious stuff. And I know that sounds bad to say, but it's true. And then, but this church, I was like, wow, this is something really different. Just fell in love with it. Really, I could say I fell in love with Brett. I could say I fell in love with Athey, the church itself. But really, I fell in love with the Bible because that's all he did was just read the Bible.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, man, I love God's word. None of this other human stuff, all this human made stuff and opinion and the fluff and this. And, I was like, oh man, I'm in really love with just the Bible itself. So, over time, so then I was like, all right, I'm going to get saved. So here's the stubbornness of me and humans. I'm like, I'm going to be really good for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And just like not sin, be really good and clean up my life. Then I'll get saved. Like, looking back now, I'm like, it's the stupidest thing in the world. Because I mean, the church is the sinner's hospital. Like,
right.
First of all, it's impossible not to sin. And second of all, it's, we're just that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like you need God. So of course I just kept falling on my face and, so finally I just laid my sword down. And I think it takes a lot for someone to lay their sword down.
Yeah.
Because you're fighting, you got the shield, you got the sword, and you're like, I got this, because especially as a weightlifter and a person in the iron game or any athlete, Iron Man, anything, it's self-made. I'm going to lift this bar. Okay. I get it. That's all good. But you have that mindset of, I'm going to put the work in.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of I. And then for a strength athlete to be like, no, it's not about me. It's about, him with the capital H. Everything changes. You're like, whoa, everything's different now. You see the world in a different light. You walk differently. You talk differently. So I finally laid my sword down and, that was a big turning point for me, huge.
Yeah.
I view every little thing differently now.
Constant journey, right?
Yeah. So I definitely, urge people to, tap into a good church. And, I'm not saying you have to go get saved your first day, but, at least open some doors and investigate and really get in there.
Yeah.
Because if you're open to it, God will work within you.
Right. Yeah.
He will. So the other answer would be dropping out of school is the best thing I ever did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dropping out of college. So I was at Sac State. I played football at a junior college, graduated with my associates.
Football, we could talk about that for.
Oh yeah. JUCO football. What position you play?
I played free safety my freshman year and tight end.
Okay. Yeah. You see, for some reason you're sitting down, but you seem tall.
I'm a 6'3". Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look tall just from the waist up.
Yeah.
And went to Sac State to be on the weightlifting team. They had a weightlifting team. It was a club team, kind of like a rugby team. It was a club sport. So got kicked out of Sac State for bad grades, went to a junior college in Sacramento, and then got my grades up just enough to get back into Sac State, and then got kicked out of Sac State again, and then dropped out of school. And then the next year I went back to this junior college, and this junior college was just horrible. The one that I went to and played football, I was the best school in the world, College of the Siskiyous, Weed, California. Shout out to COS.
Yeah.
Little, like, everybody lived together in the dorms in the wilderness of Mount Shasta, Northern California. Beautiful place. Great time. But no, this junior college in Sacramento was a crap hole. And so I'm just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't even know what my degree is in. I've learned nothing in school. I don't know. Communications was my degree. I don't even know what that means to this.
Right.
And I'm like, so I get my grades back up. I get back into Sac State. So I'm finally back into Sac State. But of course, I have straight Fs again. I'm about to get kicked out again. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. My wife is a straight A student. She has her double master's degree and she's going for a PhD. She's a full-time teacher now. She's just an amazing, beautiful mind and a talent. God has blessed her with this beautiful mind. So she's the most educated woman in the world. And I'm like just far from it. I'm like the exact opposite. So Donnie Schenkel invited me to train at California Strength just for a training session to try out for the team. And so I was like, absolutely. But it was like, Donnie was like, be there Donnie goes, be there at 2:00 on a Tuesday. He didn't ask me, can you?
Yeah. Right.
He just said, be there like Tuesday at 2:00.
Yeah.
I was like, I will be there Tuesday at 2:00. Yeah. I go back up. This was in San Ramon. I go to Sacramento and I'm like, babe, I'm dropping out of college. This is bull crap. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm wasting a bunch of student loan money. So I just dropped out of Sac State. I'm like, goodbye school. Went down there and I'm like, 8 Mile, Eminem. This is my one shot. I got to make it. This is the only thing I'm good at. And, you know, long story short, you know, made the team, of course. So,
Yeah.
and I guess my very long answer for my second answer here is just go for it.
Yeah. Right.
And I know that sounds corny and that's been said a million times. You know, I sound like, what's his name? Shia LaBeouf. Just do it. Do it. You know, that video on YouTube. But it is true. Shia LaBeouf is totally right. Just do it. Like sometimes in life, you just got to go for it.
Yeah.
And I know that's a corny answer, but honestly, it's what I did. It worked.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it's okay. You've probably like, look, the best thing I ever did was went to college because I went to college. I met my wife. I found weightlifting. I stopped doing drugs. You know, college is the best thing that ever happened to me, but I don't have a degree to show for it.
Yeah.
So it's still a win-win.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's a good place to stop. Go for it. If you're listening to this, just listen to your gut and go for it. It's a worst case scenario. You'll still be all right. You'll still be alive. And I've found personally, it always works out. So one way or another. What's a few ways people can follow you and you know, if they're interested in joining the team? I don't know if you're still taking people, if you're maxed out or what ways they can follow you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team is maxed out, but you can go to Attitude Nation, at Attitude Nation. Follow me on Instagram. Our website is doweightlifting.com.
We got a wait list. I bet you got a wait list.
We do. Yeah, we got a little bit of a wait list.
That's
you
awesome.
Can email me or shoot me a DM.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll bring someone on that if kind of more of an interview process and
sure.
Just want to make sure it's a good fit for the team. The chemistry's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, doweightlifting.com. We got you can jump on our program only. We have template programs. We got swagger. We got some straps and some fun stuff there. But I do want to make another plug too. And anybody that's listening to the show, maybe I planted a seed as far as maybe them wanting to kind of maybe read the Bible or get to know God. And I appreciate you, by the way, I don't know your belief, being so nice to me about this and letting me speak and having questions for me on this. So I've been on some podcasts where I mention this and they try to cut me off and just to move on to the weightlifting stuff. So I respect that from you, but I'm telling you, just go to atheycreek.com, ATHEY creek.com. I'm telling you right now, Pastor Brett's method is something special. And watch just a few live services, watch a few recorded services, shoot me a DM, tell me what you think. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. Well, I appreciate you being here and taking the time to do so. Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.